Welcome to another edition of the Sports War. And we are back. We got the full crew in the house. That is what it's all about. The Yankees, out of any team in the league, are the best equipped to handle a blow like this.
I think there is a higher power at play here. He's due law of averages. That dude is the ultimate scrub. It's trash. Yeah. Every person you have in there is fucking trash.
Next game, you're going to see a big performance. You can see it in the end of the game, and I'm just totally stoked and excited for this.
And we are back.
Yeah, that's right.
Welcome to another edition of the Sports Report. It's a Monday mood. It's Barnes, it's Tony, and it's Xander Schauffele hoisting the Wanamaker Trophy Sunday evening at Valhalla Golf Club in Louisville, Kentucky.
That's right, dude. Surprised, honestly, that he did end up winning. You know, we talked about it on Friday too, but what a freaking weekend of sports. Totally stoked to be back here on this nice Monday. Looks like the sun is poking out right now.
Seems like it would be a perfect night for a ball game, Tony.
It does, actually.
Yeah, so I'm excited to be going to Yankee Stadium tonight. So jacked up about that. And we already have comments galore. Everybody's excited.
That's right.
Let's get right to that.
Yes, like Brian said, a slew of comments. Kev Trudell says, shout out to the Knicks for a hell of a season. He says, we want the smoke. Hashtag TCA, DTV, and Sportsport. Matthew Gabriel. Let's effing go. Also to Mira Bryan, the Kev Do. And he goes, we have the Rangers still, my guy. A good season for the Knicks. And then Brian Barnaby chimes in and says, don't forget the Yankees, Kev.
I had to. Honestly, I had to. And you know what? As you would say, Tony, as you once famously said, I mean, it is New York. So it is something for Kev to get riled about. Other than the Rangers.
Yeah.
Because, the Mets, for this season, he can put it to rest. Edwin Diaz, the kerfuffle. Tony will talk about it.
We will talk about it. Speaking of talking about it, we have Josh B in the house saying, morning, fam. Halfway to baseball season, unfortunately. Let's go Rangers. Hashtag TCA, DTV.
Josh B,
come
my
on,
guy.
man.
Josh B, listen. We're excited about the Rangers. We know it's disappointing for the Knicks, but whoa. Let's not be asleep at the wheel for the Yankees right now. This is a great time for the New York Yankees. So just keep that in mind, Josh.
Yeah, he's got to chip her up a little bit, dude. Come on. At least more hype for the Rangers.
Fantasy baseball's bogged him down a little bit. I know he's climbed up in the standings a little bit, but I think the tough start must have been a little tough.
Yeah, no, I think that. Obviously, he's barely even talked about it. Clearly weighing on his conscience, dude. But again, you said earlier on,
let's jump
dude.
the gun though. He says it's early. But Josh, it's never too early to win 7 games in a row, have the best record in the American League. Back-to-back sweeps. It is never too early for that. Tony knows that. It's never too early for Luis Gil to have 14 strikeouts and tie Orlando Hernandez's record, Tony. It's never too early for that, so you know.
Yeah, no, never is. Speaking of
a Soto contract extension. I just had to say that.
That's not going to happen today, though.
But it might happen soon. There's been chatter.
Right.
Hal being on the forefront, that shows how interested the Yankees really are.
Yeah, and I'm sure as are various other parties, Brian. So
yes, as in Juan Soto and the Boris Corporation,
yeah.
Tony. And now back to the comments.
But yeah, speaking of it's early, my mother says, good morning, fellas. Good morning, Mom. And then Brian says, hey, Bond, go to Arthur Ave now, dude.
We did talk about it this morning. It was funny. I knew he would get a kick out of it. I texted him. It was like I was on my way. I was just leaving, a little around 7 or whatever. And I texted him and I'm like, have yourself a day. Go to Arthur now. You know what I mean? So it just we're jacked up for the stadium tonight.
Yeah, you seem really jacked up, dude.
Oh yeah,
what's that to be jacked up about? 8 in a row.
The way that we planned this out, Tony. It was like he was saying like, you know what? Usually Mondays are tough. Back to it. Come on. That type of thing. Like the whole. And we're just like, wait a second. Like, why not start the week out right? Yankee Stadium Monday night. That's kind of awesome. And then for me, headed to San Diego Thursday for Yankees Padres this weekend.
Right.
What a week. Rangers game 1 Wednesday too. Could you really ask for more? Seems like it's been week after week after week.
Yeah, pretty crazy. You're on vacation, Brian.
Yeah, you could say that. Every day is vacation, Tony. When the Yankees are in first place.
Josh B here, clapping back a little bit, says the Yankees, best team in the first half. We've seen it. Worst team in the second half ever. We've seen it the last 3 years.
You know what the difference is, though, Josh? Something that you're just forgetting here is that those last 3 years, I believe number 22 wasn't penciled in the second spot in the lineup. So let's just think about that for a second. It's a new team. It's a new year. Enough with the trepidations, Tony. This isn't the Mets, okay? This is the Yankees.
I don't know why you're talking to me. Yeah. The trepidations, Tony, even though this is Josh. Speaking of Josh, really embodying that Monday mood sign, by the way. It says Clay Holmes, first half, awesome. Second half, couldn't get it out.
I'm pretty sure Clay Holmes is the best closer in the game. So I'm not going to be too worried about him in the second half.
Oh, one player doesn't make that much of a difference.
Well, clearly it has, because the roster didn't change that much, and we're in first place instead of hovering around 500, Josh. I know this is a clip, so go ahead, but I'm just saying, okay?
My mother says easy. Oh,
he was
then too. The best closer.
No. He's really, I think he's really taking it up a level this year. I mean, obviously a 0 ERA. I mean, there's nowhere to go.
He's actually taking it down.
Exactly. Michael Bucket jacked the beers,
Barnes,
the women, the
he
food.
wants the food.
He is earning for it, Tony. He's earning.
He might be a stowaway on your flight. You better watch out, dude.
He really might. He is cheesing. And he says, my comments is so appropriate and very dreamy.
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue with that.
And then yes, see, this is where Josh comes back to reason, and he says, I hope they continue to shut me up. I mean, could he say it any better? Honestly,
no, I don't think so.
But what a time, Tony.
What a time is right.
Just so excited, and can't wait for the game tonight. That's going to be awesome. Arthur Avamilias. It's been a long time since I've been there. But a lot to get to. But we have to start with the golf. Xander Schauffele winning the 106th edition of the PGA Championship. A dominant performance, Tony, in which he sets a major championship record, both 21 under par and 263, the lowest gross score at a major championship. So obviously that speaks volumes to the week that he had. And the fact too that this tournament, because sometimes we always talk about these snobs with golf and defending the course and how you don't want to be 21 under and set a record. But I don't think anybody was really thinking that while they're watching this tournament. So dramatic. Bryson with the birdie on 18 to tie Schauffele to give him a chance at a playoff. But Xander making that 6.5 foot putt that had a little lip on it, but hit the bottom of the cup to give him his first major championship. I think we were saying today, right, Tony? Was it the 8th straight top 20 or was it a top 10?
8th straight top 20 is what I saw.
8th straight top 20. So obviously always in the conversation. You felt for Bryson. They kept panning to him, warming up, and had the big monitor. And I could only imagine what he thought as that cup, as that ball, the putt went around the cup there. Victor Hovland with a rough 18th hole. Didn't matter for him. He could have, it did somewhat matter because if he had made that initial putt, it would have put him in a tie for second, but he missed it. So the putt after that he missed for par didn't matter because he was a couple of shots up on Thomas Dietrich. So a third place finish. And I found it very interesting too on PGA Tour radio this morning. They were saying there were rumblings because he was playing so poorly of recent that he was considering skipping this tournament. I don't know how much I really believe that.
Hovland?
Yeah, I mean, come on, a top 10 golfer is not skipping a major.
No
Let's
way,
not get
dude.
Crazy.
I heard too that he went back to his old coach, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, before this tournament.
I did hear that. I think I did hear that. But before we get to the rest, of the golfers and the rest of this tournament, your thoughts on Xander's performance, Tony? I mean, does this really put him square in the face, easily, within, I don't know, the top 3 to 5 golfers in the world?
Yeah, I guess it. Yeah, I would say it does. I mean, I want to say he was he second coming in?
So I know I think he's third at the moment on the GWR.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, Xander Schauffele is someone who we've been talking about recently too, and like about time for him to get a major win. So
30 years old.
30 years old.
He's number 2 in the world now.
We we did talk about how many great finishes he's had at majors. And I mean, his level of play was electric from day one. And I mean, I think that was really what was indicative of what to expect. I mean, I think after day one, he was 9 under, I think.
Yeah. Well, he also, speaking of records, I'm glad you mentioned that his 62 tied for the lowest round at a major championship in round 1.
Mhm.
Shane Lowry in round 3 would actually match that, as Michael is jacked up right now. So that's how we started this week, and it was really smooth sailing from there. I mean, 68 rounds 2 and 3, what he needed to do, and then to close with the 65. I mean, those are killer instincts, Tony.
Literally, and we were saying too on Friday, through 4 holes, I think he was 4 under or whatever.
Yeah.
And oh, where's he gonna finish? Where's he gonna finish? Well, he might taper off, whatever. It never tapered off the whole weekend. Just it was full speed ahead for him, and it's pretty interesting too. I don't know if you caught the whole story with his dad and everything.
That he wasn't there, but he was watching. I think he was in Hawaii, but his wife and his brother were there.
Yes. And his dad, obviously lifelong coach, dude, has been there all the way through.
Put him in tears in the post-game interview. Nance.
Dude, beautiful moment, honestly, for that whole thing. We want to take a no bag from Live Golf, they said, too, which is pretty dope.
Say that again?
His dad said, Xander's never going to live. Like, he's never going to collect a bag with the Live Tour name on it.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Which is sick, dude. So you got to love the story, dude. And honestly, not for nothing, that putt still, a dramatic finish, too. I mean, that putt wasn't necessarily a gimme, dude. And you could tell, I mean, even the announcers, everyone was talking about, this is what you dream of as a kid, putting in your living room. This is the putt you want for the PGA champion. And I'm like, oh my God, dude. And he nails it. And it really was just a tremendous tournament for him.
Yeah, no, and it's funny too. It seems like he's been around for so long, has had so many top finishes. And it seemed like he was even older than 30 years old. Before I checked, I didn't even realize that. So, you were getting to that point. Well, is it ever going to happen? This, that, and here it is. And he puts it together. And I think it's like he was either the 5th or the 6th golfer all time to go wire to wire at the PGA, which is impressive. He had a couple co-lead situations. But the fact that he was able to stay on top of the leaderboard, after each round is another impressive feat here. So just a week of records for Xander Schauffele. And it is interesting too. It's we kind of went into this. I mean, sure, we said, oh, there's no way Xander's going to win it, but the fact is, going into major season, winning the Masters and then winning the PGA, always going to be somebody different. So just interesting now, what happens from here. We got Pinehurst next month for the U.S. Open. But I'm sure Xander will be in the conversation. But now, this really sets up his legacy. And they were saying this win, you think about the record, the major, his consistency probably puts him right in the Hall of Fame conversation.
Yeah.
It's crazy how quick that conversation ramps up after this.
Yeah, you have to see that, dude. How did you feel too? Because I feel like Morikawa was leading for a little bit, and he was your original pick, dude.
Yes, original pick. The putter. He's got to get the putter down. Obviously, he's a great player. He's still very young. I mean, what is he? 27, right?
Maybe even younger than that, honestly.
Yeah, I know he is pretty young, and it's crazy too that it's already been 4 years since he won the PGA Championship at Harding Park.
He's 27.
He is 27. Okay. But yeah, so I mean, I think it's big for his confidence that he gets there. And speaking of confidence boosters, I mean, how about Bryson DeChambeau? I mean, he kind of gets forgotten about being on the Live Tour. Obviously, he won at Winged Foot 4 years ago as well. And for him to close with the 64, have that putt just drop in on the 18th hole to give him a chance. And his putting too, how much he's improved his putting, going to the cross grip on the putter. Obviously you think about Bryson, you think about distance. And it seems like he's done a really good job of getting his game in tip-top shape, even though, he's only doing these majors 4 times a year. Other than that, these live golf events, obviously they don't have the same type of feel. And I think too, he's done a job. Like, obviously you look at him, he's still completely jacked, but I think he's taking off a little bulk just to make it kind of easier to swing from what I could tell.
I mean, it does seem like he is a little bit small,
but like still jacked.
Yeah. Still, busting out of his shirt, dude.
Yeah.
But it was pretty funny. It actually is. Looking at the leaderboard now, I feel like there's top three: Hovland, Bryson, and Xander. I mean, I feel like those are three golfers that kind of were counted out for most of the year because I mean, Hovland has not been golfing well, really. At least not as expected to.
Bryson kind of choked at the Masters, even though it was still a good finish.
But still, did choke. And like you said, does get kind of overshadowed the fact that he is at LIV. And then even Xander, too. We mentioned the narrative was like, is he ever going to do it?
Yeah.
And then these even, I mean, tied for fourth, Thomas Dietrich, dude.
Speaking of Dietrich, it was big that he was able to get that top 4 finish. The top 5 automatically qualifies for next year's Masters. So obviously that's always a tough tournament to qualify for. So big for Dietrich to get that top 5 finish. Morikawa, it's disappointing, but it makes you think that he's going to be in the conversation with the tournaments to come, the majors to come, and he's just got to really get that putting game down. Justin Rose, a resurgence, a guy that we haven't really heard too much recently. I think he missed the cut at Augusta. So for him to put this together, obviously he was anchored by that 64 in round 3. Closed with the 69, but for him to get a top 6 finish here, I think is impressive for a golfer, in his early 40s. Obviously, a lot of times that's where the game goes south, and he's able to put that together. You had Shane Lowry, who we really haven't talked about much. Obviously, the 2019 Open champ, with a great performance here. I mean, obviously anchored by that 62 in round 3, tying the major record. Putt was inches away from falling to set a record. Just yesterday, disappointing, only 1 under. So it didn't really give him a chance to win this tournament. But obviously, when you're tying for 6, you're doing something right. How about Billy Horschel? We talked about him winning that alternate event a few weeks ago. Obviously, that really helped his confidence as he gets a top 10 by finishing 13 under and closing with a 64. Scotty closes with a 65, and the kerfuffle on Saturday took him out of contention, a 2 over 73. But here he is. I think it was his 5th straight top 10 at a major. So right in contention, obviously the drama, but when you put all that into perspective, I think a highly successful week short of winning this tournament for Scotty Schauffele.
How about Friday being his best round after all that drama?
Yeah.
How crazy is that, dude?
Yeah. And then I guess, Saturday it really sinks in, whatever, but Sunday back to normal. And he is my pick for the U.S. Open.
Interesting.
So it'll be interesting to see if he's square in front of it again. I mean, I know you like sticking to picks, but I mean, as we look at the U.S. Open right now, what are your initial thoughts?
I mean, how do you not love Scotty's chances, But I will say, though, if I do look back, I'm pretty sure I have Hovland going at the U.S. Open, which now,
good. Yep.
I mean, I feel pretty good about that. Having good momentum from this major. And again, I would imagine he continue to improve. I guess looking at Hovland just from, this weekend, he still could improve on his putting. Just seems like sometimes so crazy. There'll be times in the green where him and the caddy are just talking it over. He's trying to measure the hill, whatever, how much, whatever numbers they use to dictate slope. It's goes by it's 1.5 or whatever they use. I don't even know. It's a different language, but it just seems like he reads it right, and then the execution is just not there because he just ended up missing. So I don't know. I would expect him to work on that. So I don't know. I feel good with Hovland coming into the U.S. Open.
No, I think that's a really good pick. And who else feels pretty good in his home state of Kentucky? You had Justin Thomas getting a top 10 in the major. Been a while since we said that. Really just an overall solid week, grinding it out. 69, 67, 67, 68. Good enough for a tied for 8th. So we'll see if this kind of propels him back in the major conversation. Obviously, the 2022 PGA champions when he came back from 7 strokes on a Sunday at Southern Hills. Robert McIntyre, we saw him in the conversation at the Open Championship. He finishes 13 under par, tied for 8th as well. So a solid performance for him. A lot of talk about Rory, the drought. Yes, it's still been 10 years, Tony. Still winless, but he does get a tie for 12th here at 12 under. I think a solid performance. 66 on Thursday was great. Even par, though, in his second round, and then 68 and 67. So kind of the same conversation we've had about Rory and majors over the past 10 years. Good, but not great, and not good enough to ultimately host the Wanamaker here.
Are you surprised?
No, I guess I'm surprised
that
he
finished. Even.
Yeah, because I was thinking he might miss the cut, but am I surprised he didn't win? No. But do you think a performance like this, obviously the hot start on Thursday, decent final round 4 under yesterday. I mean, do you think this does anything for his confidence?
So tough. I mean, I guess it does. Like, like you said, surprising get cut. He had some solid rounds there, ended well. Yeah, I would say it does give him some confidence boost. I still think, I don't know, watching him on the course, you can still tell in his face. I think he expected better from himself still, rightfully so. But I don't know. I mean, it's tough, dude. He's in a tough scenario to see him to be like, oh, like I'm confident in my game. I don't think he is. And I think that's why he's struggling.
And then he's thinking about other stuff.
Yeah,
obviously.
Dude.
And moving down the list here, Sahith Theegala, I think, was in the penultimate group off the tee yesterday. He finishes 2 over, but I think it's still a successful tournament, one where he played really well. I mean, 65, 67, 67. I mean, that's a good way to start a major. Unfortunately, 2 over yesterday, but a tie for 12th. Obviously, we know how young he is and how talented he is, so I think he's going to be in the conversation. I think big confidence boosters for Bradley, English, and Eckroat, all finishing at 11 under, especially Keegan Bradley. I mean, he has been awful this year and really awful since winning the Travelers last year. So I think this is a big confidence boost. Get him inside that top 20. Tony Finau had put himself into contention with an opening 65, 69, 69, 70 to finish. So he tied 18th. Again, another guy searching for his first major, but a solid performance nevertheless. And then really Brooks Koepka, that 74 on Saturday, put him out of contention, finished strong, 5 under 66 yesterday, unable to defend his title, but I think, a pretty good tournament. And you have to wonder, if you swap out that 74 for a 65, we're talking about something completely different here. Top 5 finish. So I would expect him to contend at the U.S. Open, which he has won twice in his career. So, disappointing Saturday, but overall, I think a solid body of work for a guy that, isn't playing this level of golf regularly. Former Open champ from last year, Brian Harman, 9 under. You also had Tom Kim, who opened with a 66, but then went 71, 68, 70, tied for 26, but a younger golfer, someone we expect to contend for years to come. Max Homa, tying for 35th here, 68, 70, 69, 69. So still looking for that first major championship. Jordan Spieth had a chance to complete the career Grand Slam. He finishes 7 under and actually shot 7 under yesterday. So it was he was literally even par the first 3 rounds combined. So it's one of those things, sure, after missing the cut at Augusta, but you got to expect better things for him for years to come. And then DJ, a solid 5 under after really a poor tournament, a one where he barely made the cut. Good for him to get there. Will Zalatoris, Jason Day tied for 43rd, 6 under. And that's really, what we have. I mean, of course, we have to mention Tiger. The blow up, the 2 triples on his front 9 on Friday, taking him out of contention here and ultimately missing the cut. I think he ended with a birdie on 18. But another tough performance for Tiger. Expected to give it a go at Pinehurst. But it really just seems like we're really nearing the end here, Tony. You look at that second round there. 4-7 to start. That's not Tiger Woods.
No, not at all. And it's just so tough too, because you're going to expect with his body, like later in tournaments is when he would struggle, but he's just not even getting off to great starts. It just seems like, every time you hear it's like, all right, like let him get a round in, get warmed up, and then Saturday he'll be better. But then he's tired. Like you can tell, which sucks. And again, you can tell by his level of play, 72 round 1, 77 round 2. It's just not.
But you think he's still going to just keep trying for like a couple of years here?
I guess. Yeah. He's got that competitiveness. That's what's keeping him going, is that he thinks he can, he knows, and he wants to play. If he's not going to stop playing, I don't think.
And do you think like the cart on the senior tour would make that big of a difference or no?
Yeah, I do. Think so. Yeah, absolutely.
So, it's interesting to think about that.
Makes a difference for me. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. So we'll have to see what Tiger does. I think he needs a special exemption into the U.S. Open, but
what is that? What do you mean?
Well, because you have to be like certain ranking in the world. Obviously, doesn't have that. Past status is only good for 10 years. It's been longer than that. And then his last major win 2019. Unless this is actually, you know what? I think this is the last year that he's exempt. That's what it is. Because it's 2019. I think they just start the following year with the exemptions.
Lifetime exemptions to the Masters PGA, and he is eligible to play.
Okay. I guess he doesn't get the exemption for 2024 here, but they're going to give it. He doesn't get the automatic qualification, but they're gonna give him a special exemption. Oh wait, never mind.
I know, right? It says the 2024 U.S. Open is the first time he did not qualify for the major.
But then why it says that, and then the other article says he's not. So go ahead.
All right, let's go to Golf WRX here. This is published 2014. That's why.
Oh, okay.
Like, why would that even
so
why
go to the CBS?
Let's go to CBS here.
He accepts the exemption. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, yeah. This is for May 2nd here, so of this year.
Yeah.
Special exemption from the USGA to join the field. What does that mean? Like special exemption?
It means because he did. Yeah, no, they're able to offer whoever they want, the USGA.
Wow.
So obviously it makes sense why they want him in the field, but it's going to be an uphill battle here for him, but he's going to give it a go. I mean, Pinehurst, great course, so I'm sure that plays into it as well. And one other guy I was just looking at with the missed cuts, Rahm, poor performance to the Masters, just makes the cut, doesn't make the cut here. I mean, obviously, 70, 72, it's not like, oh my God. But you think it's just a case of just not playing regularly and he's just not sharp and he might be, not motivated as well after signing that big live contract.
Yeah, I think so too. And we talked about it. I think he expected to be back in the PGA by now with the merger, collect the money. I think he was smart about it. But I mean, the narrative since he's left was
fat and happy.
Literally fat and happy. And I think he's leaning into that, dude. And I think he feels bad. I think he feels guilty for leaving. And again, like, what is more indicative of that than his level of play? I feel like any PGA event he's been on this season, he's sucked. Like, he's wildly underwhelming, especially, he was talking to the town last season, you know, like it's crazy. The quick turnaround. It's gotta be the live merger thing is weighing on him, dude. And you can tell him. Look at his face. The interview of the Masters, Scotty, him. Come on, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's so the writing's on the wall with him, I feel.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. But really, if you think about it, this started because a great first half of last year, but kind of tapered down the stretch, and it just has carried over to this season. So we'll see if he's in contention next month at Pinehurst, Tony. But nevertheless, I think an outstanding PGA championship, and kind of like I said before, but I just like the fact that somebody that's one of the top golfers in the world, won this tournament, and that's some no name, somebody that deserves it, and I think everybody would agree that Xander deserves it.
Michael Block,
but it'll just be interesting to see, like, do we get another Wyndham Clark type of win at the U.S. Open next month, or do you think it's going to be, a brand name again? Because it's been a while since we've had brand names all four majors.
Yeah, that's true. But I feel like it's gonna be a Scotty or Victor
or Brooks
Brooks. But I don't know. Again, he's won it twice before, so it's you never know with him. But geez, he was disappointing. I was watching a lot of his feature group yesterday, which he played so well yesterday. It's like almost like you're kicking yourself in the face because it's like, come on, dude. Like, you couldn't.
But what do you think? Do you think he's very mental? Like, if he's in it right at the top of the leaderboard, he just gets that adrenaline. He just goes. But if he faces a little adversity, then he just gets tight and it's over.
Yeah, I guess. Again, maybe in the past, but again, look at him. Sunday, he was even keeled, and it's funny too because I've never really watched a featured group specifically before.
Sick. Though.
Yeah, it is sick, dude. And it's him and Hogard.
Yeah. And
Hogard was blowing it, dude. Like, there were so many times where he even had to wait because Hogard was looking for his ball in the rough somewhere.
Like waiting. That's why him and Bryson were beefing years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he didn't like how slow Bryson played.
Or
Patrick Cantlay.
Because I thought because I feel like a lot of times Koepka looked like he was even keeled the whole time. I was like, I got it. Like, I'm looking, I'm like, dude, Koepka should be pissed. Like, I feel like he's got to wait, holding up, whatever.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know. I think maybe he's working on that. But I don't know, dude. You gotta it's one thing to work on being upset, after bad shots, but it's just I feel like the pressure got to him this weekend. You gotta perform under the pressure, dude. And he has before, certainly. Like we said, won the U.S. Open twice already. But I don't know. I guess we'll see, dude. I think there was a lot more outside noise too with the Rory drama like that.
Yeah.
Again, like you start speaking shit like that leading up to a tournament. Like clearly you're not focused. I don't know, man.
It's crazy. It just all comes down to one day. I mean, I know
Yeah.
it's like, okay, like he still would have had to shoot like 62 or something on Thursday to win. But
Right.
I mean, he would have obviously finished a lot higher if he doesn't shoot 74
Yeah.
on Saturday.
And that again, like that 1 round blow up,
Yeah.
that's got to be mental. Like there's no way a professional golfer, his stature, and other great rounds, like you blew it, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I think overall, though, it was an outstanding weekend, outstanding major. It almost is like crazy that it's like we're halfway home with major season. Like, because these things don't come up much, Tony. You know, it's
yeah,
tough.
that's true. But that's what you said last season, and then all of a sudden it's like the Masters music is playing. Like, I don't know, dude.
No. It seems like it is forever by the time someone hoists the claret jug.
Really?
Until we get to Augusta.
I don't know, dude. I feel like all of a sudden it's like, it's the waste management, and then all the majors are, like,
I don't know. No, because you know what it is? I feel like the Open, that we've talked about this, but the times, the courses, all this stuff, it's just like it's just not the same. So I just feel like we got the U.S. Open basically. Like the Open, yes, like it's good, right? Though, or no?
Yeah.
I think it's fourth. I think it's fourth on the list for us.
Yeah.
And it's weird too because the way, I mean, sure, they have their regular tournaments, and then they have the FedEx Cup playoffs, but like CBS, I mean, all the big stuff is done. I mean,
yeah,
Tour Championship, does anybody really care? Like, yes, we'll follow it, but right, it's just not. It's
not
crazy
enough
how
juice.
it's almost. You think it's very similar to tennis or no? Where it's like the 4 majors and then everything else is just so secondary. Like it almost feels like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no.
Indian Wells.
Yeah, dude.
Paris, right? I mean, it's
if it's not, like you said, the U.S. Open, Wimbledon, like it's
the Aussie. Now how would you
French
rank
Open.
the 4 tennis majors?
I mean, I guess Wimbledon has got to be one at that point, right? If I'm doing it biasly, the U.S. Open was always cool to me.
Yeah.
Because it's in Queens, right by the World's Fair,
right.
Flushing. Like, let's go. So cool.
Ashe.
But I guess really, like, Wimbledon is 1, and then U.S. Open is 2. And then I guess the Australian Open is 3.
Interesting. So you're not a big French Open guy.
No.
The clay courts.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
What's even going on in tennis? Like, is anybody like crazy or anything? Like, when is the next major? Like,
no, dude, I haven't followed tennis
asleep
in so long,
at the
dude.
wheel, Tony.
Yeah. You tell me, bro. You tell me.
I feel like the last time we talked about a tennis tournament was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, probably. And it was,
I think it was for one of our milestone I don't know if it was like at the time like a 400th episode or something like that, 300th episode.
Jeez, 300th, dude. That's crazy.
But okay, so it looks like the French is coming up.
It's probably should look like schedule French Open.
Oh, French is going on right now.
Dude, get the fuck out of here. Is it actually?
Yeah.
You knew.
We have a qualifying first round.
Women's singles right now.
Do we have seeding?
Qualifying.
Do we have let's see, men's singles. Okay.
This is probably for today here. This is all qualifying stuff. So I guess we wouldn't have
yeah, but there's got to be something. I just want to
rankings.
But there should be something like the French Open. The French Open field, right? Or no?
The field?
Yeah.
Let's see.
You just do the Roland Garros site.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Okay,
here we go. Djokovic 2.
But no, it looks like no Nadal. I mean, keep going down, but I don't think so, right?
Yeah, right. Medvedev is 5, which is interesting.
Yeah, definitely no Nadal. That's tough.
That is really tough, dude.
So it's Djokovic, it's Medvedev.
I don't know who
Alcaraz, but I don't know anybody else.
Yeah, I don't know. Sinner from Italy, dude. Keep an eye on him. 22 years old.
No. I gotta ask Joker. He's always up on this stuff. Yeah.
Sebastian Norda, related? Nelly?
Well, you said.
Oh,
did you say Norda?
Yeah,
no, it is.
Right,
no,
it is
her
Korda.
name is Korda, but I don't know. Kind of chop.
Yeah, I don't know.
It.
Yeah.
All right, dude.
I can look it up. I don't know.
Look it up.
That'd be kind of crazy, honestly. Because she won this past weekend, right? That's what
she did. Yeah, 6-time in 7 events. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Let's see, siblings. Oh yeah, there we go. Nelly Korda, Jessica Korda.
That's cool.
That is kind of crazy. What a family, dude.
Oh yeah, and before we move on here, I guess we missed a couple from your mother. She did a Easy Barnes, which is kind of hilarious because I mentioned the Mets. And then she asked why the golfer was arrested. Don't remember his name. Scotty Schauffele. A little traffic kerfuffle, Mary.
Huge kerfuffle.
So he got arrested for apparently disobeying the orders of traffic patrol. So it just seemed like an understanding. But I guess a lot will still come out about that.
Oh yeah.
But that being said, Tony, let's go to the world of Major League Baseball.
What a play! Stop it! Yep. And Alonso cracks one. The Mets win the ball game. Out of sight.
And it works at 100 miles an hour. 14 strikeout.
Too deep to left field. There it goes. See ya.
All right. So 7 straight wins for your New York Yankees. Back-to-back sweeps. Started with the sweeps in Minnesota. Then we had another one in the Bronx this weekend against the Chicago White Sox. Something we expected, but obviously good to get the job done. You go back to Friday, Yankees were victors 4-2. Nestor Cortez picking up his second win of the season. His ERA now sits at 3.56.
Very nice.
7 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. Ian Hamilton ran into trouble, 3 hits and a run in only a third of an inning. But fortunately for the Yankees, Caleb Ferguson and Clay Holmes holding the job down.
How about that?
The offense was just good enough here. 4 runs, 9 hits. And you had homers by Judge and Stanton. It was funny too. Somebody asked Stanton after the game if it ever gets old, like him and Judge homering in the same game. And he's like kind of cheesing. He's like, no.
What a great reporter, dude. Yeah.
But it really is unbelievable, Tony, because he would have another home run this weekend. But Stanton, I mean, is it not kind of crazy that it seems like every time you look at a box score, it seems like Stanton sitting at a home run?
I mean, yeah, dude. It is crazy. A week and a half ago, cut him, dude. It's bullshit. The weight loss didn't do anything, whatever. I don't know. He seems to be finding something. I mean, what is it? Is he not chasing pitches now?
Well, he still does, but you know what it is? I think he's hitting the ones that he should. And he wasn't doing that last year.
Okay.
So, and maybe he still swings at bad pitches, but I think maybe he swings at less bad pitches, which obviously will help. This sun is getting me so excited, Tony, for the game tonight. Right or no?
Wow. Yeah, dude. Really poked out there, dude. I feel like this morning it was like overcast, perhaps even a little drizzle, and then
stop. But yeah, you love to see that. He really adds a whole nother element, to this lineup. Rizzo also had 2 hits in this one. Aaron Judge had 3 walks, the home run, and 2 runs scored. So he continues to rake. So it was just a solid, grinded out win here. So that was Friday, 4-2, 31st victory of the season. On to Saturday, a game the Yankees end up winning 6-1.
Mm-hmm.
So another good offensive performance here. Pitching for the Yankees in this one, Luis Gil, Tony. I mentioned this in the open, tying a rookie record set by El Duque, 14 strikeouts. So 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 14 strikeouts, a 2.39 ERA, 5-1 on the year. And this is for a guy who, showed flashes when he was first recalled 2 years ago, but then tapered off, then had Tommy John last year, struggled with the control early on in spring training in the beginning of this season, but has really turned it up. I mean, 14 strikeouts, whether it's against the Chicago White Sox or not, the Yankees may have really found something here in Luis Gil.
Yeah, dude. And I mean, coming at a great time, huh? I mean, obviously, you're missing Garrett Cole, but you kind of have this guy Luis Gil holding it down. And I mean, your bullpen's doing well. You have the run support. I feel like the Yankees, not only have they found something in Gil, but I feel like with the way the rest of the team is kind of producing, you also can like give him a lot of confidence. And I mean, if his confidence continues to go up, I mean, his level of play he's gonna look like a great starting pitcher.
And it's funny too. We don't think about this because we're all just like score, 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 like with the offense. But it's like what that does, the difference in a pitcher having to pitch constantly 0-0 game. You're down 2, you're down 3, versus if you're up 3. Like what the difference is when you're out there. I mean, just pitching freely.
Yeah.
So I think that really has paid huge dividends, Tony.
Oh boy,
here he is. And then they have all season, the bullpen did a great job in this one. Nick Birdie recently reinstated from the injured list. 2 scoreless innings, 1.04 ERA in limited action this year. Dennis Santana with a clean 9th inning. The offense in this one, how about Juan Soto? 2 home runs, Tony, 4 for 4, 3 RBIs. So just an outstanding game out of him as there continues to be rumblings of potential contract extension talks and how much he loves the fans here. He said, oh, yeah, there was strong fan bases in Washington, in San Diego, but the amount of fans in New York is like no other. So that was straight from the horse's mouth. Needless to say, he's riled up, and so is Giancarlo Stanton. His 11th home run of the season, 2 for 3 in this one. An absolute rope. It really is unbelievable. The resurgence from Stanton, something that I really didn't see coming. So another big game for him. Trevino and Volpe also with hits in this one, as well as Judge. So just a great team effort here, 9 hits overall. So that was their 32nd win of the season. And then yesterday, picking up their 33rd win of the season. And as both of the previous 2 starting pitchers did, Carlos Rodon answering the call, pitching well after giving up 2 runs in the 2nd inning, settles down to the tune of 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, a 3.27 ERA, and more importantly, his 5th win of the season. So 5-2 so far for him. Brett Tonkin, who had chunked it earlier in Milwaukee this year, 2 1/3, 2 hits, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, a 3 ERA right now, Tony. So could you imagine if Matt Blake has unlocked something there? Clay Holmes, there were runners on, so gets the last 2 outs of the game. And like we have been saying, another strong offensive performance here. 7 runs, 10 hits. And you look at who did well in this one. 2 hits apiece for Torres, Rizzo, and John Birdie. Birdie hitting his first Yankee home run. So it's interesting to see what they're going to do there. You got Oswaldo, you got DJ making his way back as well. So how they're going to structure this roster. Somebody is on the way out. Aaron Judge, another home run in this one, a 1 for 4. So now he's up to 13 home runs and a 980 OPS and a 266 average after having an average under 200 for a lot of this season. So you love to see that. Volpe a hit in this one, his 8th double of the season. So all good stuff. 7 in a row, best record in the American League. 1 win behind the Phillies for most in the major leagues, Tony. Things are looking pretty well right now for the New York Yankees.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think you showed a lot over the course of the weekend. You obviously 3 victories here. I know it's against the White Sox, but I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, but I feel like last year, previous maybe 3 or 4 years, sometimes the Yankees would have issues.
Lose
with
2 out of 3 at home to the White Sox.
To a bad team, not even just the White Sox, too.
Right.
Like they struggle to score in against teams where they play down to their level is what I'm trying to say. And obviously this weekend they did not. Looking at even just Sunday with Rodon too. I mean, I thought it was pretty impressive. You mentioned giving up 2 runs early
and then honing in.
And you look at some of his pitch selection. Both of those runs were given up off of his fastball. That next inning barely even threw it, went to the changeup, the curveball, I guess like I said, change things up here. And then all of a sudden you see the 5th inning, 4th inning goes back to the fastball as his other pitches were established, tries to reestablish the fastball. That works. He goes 6 innings. I mean, that's a type of adaptability, recognition to like what's going on in the game that you want from a starting pitcher. And I mean, that's to be able to see that if it is Matt Blake, maybe in the dugout talking about it, regardless, he's making those adjustments. and what looked like could be a tough start, and obviously, maybe even a loss here ended up being a dominant victory. You're getting a sweep like that, and I mean, that's what the Yankees have been doing here, and that's what you want them to continue to do. Starting against who right now?
Seattle.
Seattle. It's right, dude. You're going to the game, of course. The jersey,
Amelia.
Costco. The sun is coming out now.
Yeah, so we're obviously really fired up for that, and especially Rodon. What he had to endure last year. I believe it was around 80 innings, or maybe even a little less than that, but like a 6 ERA last season. And let's see, it was 64 innings, a 6.85. I mean, that is absolutely insane if you really think about it. So the fact that his ERA is now at 3.27. I mean, I think you were saying you had thought he was going to turn it around, but I mean, has this exceeded your expectations up to this point? Yeah, I think so.
Again, it's not even just like the turning it around. It's just him being adaptable and making those adjustments in game. That's super impressive. That's what you want out of a high performance professional starting pitcher.
And he even made the comments too. He was just saying something like, "Oh, last year this was overwhelming. Now I have a real sense of what it's like to pitch in New York. Like this is home or something."
Yeah,
some type of comments like that, which
that's
you
great
love to see.
And the numbers prove it, dude.
And are you surprised too? With the Yankees, he has a better ERA without the stash. Because he had the stash all last year, clean shaven this year. I mean, does it just not play for some people? I mean, what's the deal? Are you almost thinking maybe golf, no stash? Maybe a couple strokes coming your way, or
no? Maybe, dude. I guess there's one way to find out. But I don't know. I mean, I guess some people just can't handle the pressure of having the stash. I guess
Yeah. Yes, you're either cut out for it or you're not. And I mean, it's the Yankees. Obviously, they allow stashes, but it's like one of those things where. I mean, their whole thing is like the lack of facial hair. So maybe it's
clean
meant
look.
to be to go with the clean look.
Not everybody could be Don Mattingly, dude.
Speaking of clean looks, both Gilbert and Stroman, no facial hair. They're the starting pitchers tonight. So a 4-game series with Seattle before the Yankees head out west. And I will see them in San Diego, Tony.
Which is kind of crazy.
Really crazy. And, we'll talk more about the game tonight in a little bit. I know you're disgusted, but we got to mention it. The Mets dropping 2 out of 3 in Miami over the weekend.
Yeah, that's what they call it, dude. I guess if you want to talk about it, I mean, it's
what you want to talk about it.
I mean, we have to talk about it, dude. We have to talk about it.
It's good for you to vent, no?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I guess we can start off with Friday, right? Coming into the series, let's talk about that, I guess. Marlins are like what? They were 12-31 coming into the series. So you're like, all right, like get right spot for the Mets, dude, right? You're thinking, all right, their bats were not, the bats were ice cold. All right, this is the time. Luzardo sucked, had a ERA above a 5 coming into the Friday start. You're like, all right, so we got that going for you. And then, you got Christian Scott in there. Like, all right, like young, developed pitcher against a poor lineup. Like, he should be shining, dude. Mets get shut out 8-0 on Friday night. Luzardo, again, Whitey Ford, dude. 6 innings, 5 hits, 7 Ks. No earned runs, no walks. Best start of his season, yes, by far. Scott struggled. 4 innings, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, a walk, only 3 Ks. Gave up 1 home run. That was a start, I guess. Obviously, you didn't need. Looking at him, though, again, where Rodon made adjustments, he did not. Scott does like to throw his fastball. It reaches 95, sometimes 96. But I mean, it was just, he was hittable. It was hittable.
Younger pitcher. I mean, this is literally his first bat out of his career. Was this his 3rd start or no?
3rd start, 2nd start, even maybe.
No, I think 3rd because he had the really good one
that ended up in a loss.
Right.
Yeah, third start. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And by far his work. I mean, by far, I guess I know it's a small sample size, but it's his worst start. And again, I mean, his first start, which was against Tampa Bay, very solid, and against the Braves, I mean, it was 6 innings, I think 3 earned runs, which is respectable for a pitcher of his age. And again, you're just expecting like for him to get over the hump of that Brave start. Honestly, like you did really well against a great lineup, and you come into Miami. and you just kind of sit down. I mean, again, you had the family in the crowd, same deal. He's from Florida, so obviously people were visiting to watch him. But I mean, they've been at every start. This isn't like there's added pressure. It's not like this is something new. You're in Florida too. I mean, you definitely expect more out of this kid. And I know, he's getting tossed into the situation where he is being asked a lot of, and it's like maybe it's not fair. A lot of young pitchers don't have that situation, but I mean, I don't know. You expect that this guy, it's something that he wants to rise to. I know it's only one start, and I'm sure he'll bounce back and be fine. But still, I mean, coming in, setting the tone for the entire weekend. I mean, you got shut out. The Mets got shut out, and I don't kind of maybe blaming this kid, but still, you didn't have a great start. You did not give the Mets length, and obviously, you gave the Miami lineup confidence, which you bring in, bullpen guys like Grant Hartwig and Walker.
Walker
more
off of the
runs,
PGA
dude.
Tour. Jimmy Walker.
Jimmy Walker.
Is that his name?
I'm actually not sure what his first name is. I don't think it is Jimmy, because I feel like we would have Josh Walker.
Oh, Josh. Okay.
29-year-old New York native dude, Otisville. Obviously not a ton of appearances, I feel like, this year for the Mets. But this is his first time giving up some runs against Miami. Again, clearly the Miami lineup got some confidence in their bats. They did hit well, I guess. I mean, you scored 8 runs over 3 different Met pitchers. Clearly your bats were doing something right. But on top of that, I mean, the Yankees, the Mets struck out 9 times,
I know
dude.
It's tough for you. You're excited with the Yankees. You're thinking about it. It's okay. Come on, Tony. You don't need to do the stare. You said it, not me. So don't get mad at me.
Moving on to Saturday, dude.
Did you not say it?
No, I did say it. Yeah, I did say it, dude. I did say it. Moving on to Saturday, dude. This was obviously an even tougher loss than getting shut out 8-0. You lose in 10 innings, 10-9, dude. A game in which I believe you led 7-2. Yeah, going into the 7th inning. And then an absolute kerfuffle, as they would say, a total collapse, dude. But you got Luis Severino starts on the mound, right? 6 2/3, 5 earned runs. Not a great start from him. Does go the length though. But I feel like for him, I mean, I guess, yeah, 2nd and 3rd inning gives up a couple runs, but did settle down. Solo shot to Jazz Chisholm over there, who took him yard, gave up an RBI double too in the 2nd as well, settled down. But then we've seen from Severino, I feel like, a lot this season, going deeper into games, 3rd line through the lineup, absolute breakdown. 7th inning, I know he got an out or 2 outs, but literally was just getting lit up at that point. I think he just does not have the distance right now to go. He doesn't have the endurance as a starting pitcher, which is why you saw him give up 3 more runs in the clutch spot of the 7th. But you know what? Mendoza, I think, gave him a decent amount of length, let him get out there. Brought in Garrett, got the out to end that inning. Ottavino even gets brought in and does a good job in getting the team to the 8th, through the 8th inning, I should say. Now, opening up the 9th inning, you bring Edwin Diaz. And now the story behind him, obviously, this past week is that he just doesn't look like what he did 2 seasons ago. And a lot of people like myself, as well as Zach over here, were saying give him some time, whole season, injury. He'll bring it back. We saw the fastball starting to touch 98, where it was 95, 96. Gets absolutely popped, dude. Like,
I mean, what happened though?
I mean, if I had to guess, I feel like, not guess, but I mean, looking at the way he pitched, he just didn't have his slider, to be honest. I mean, I feel like that was it.
For a strike?
Couldn't throw it. Hadn't any movement on it.
Oh,
it was flat as fuck, dude. I mean, and if you want to even, look at that, Josh Bell homer. Of course, it was Josh Bell. Freaking loser. What doesn't matter. So
what was he hitting on the gun?
That slider was at 90.
And what about the fastball?
Again, I think it was 95, 96 there.
Oh, 97.
Reaching 97 to start off. But again, I mean, slider 90 over the middle, just it does not have the movement is what it was, dude. And I feel like he doesn't have the confidence with the 4-seamer. It's not very consistent. I mean, you look at that next at bat, first ball, which obviously, could have been a strike here. Clearly you're looking at it, but was called a ball. Then the slider, again, clearly was not getting movement. No movement at all. Same deal. It was just obviously just flat, like we said. And then, I mean, starting off with that Jazz Chisholm here, the single here, which scores 1 run, was the slider off the middle. De La Cruz reaches an infield single, was a 4-seamer at 96, which again, I mean, for some batters, I mean, 96 isn't crazy. And then there you go, Josh Bell, first pitch, slider, 90, right over the middle. You watch that ball, dude. It comes out of his hand and it stays in that same line the whole time.
So just like floating in the middle of the plate.
Literally.
Yeah. That's tough.
Really tough, dude. And so he kind of blows it there. He blows the lead. You know, they score 4 runs in the 9th to tie the game. And then, you know, top of the 10th here. I mean, I know you're in Miami, but still, I mean, everybody was silenced after that 9th inning. You were at the Mets dugout, deflated.
But also, I mean, Alonso, I mean, he doesn't need to tap it to short. I mean,
no, he does not.
Elevate it. At least get a sac fly or something, or hit a ground ball to first, right? I mean,
yeah, no, I mean, I agree. And I mean, again, you scored 9 runs. Like, your bats were hot, dude. Like, yeah, you like Diaz, your closer came in, you blew it, but you got to figure it out, you know, like you have to figure it out, dude. I mean, that's just, and again, like 10th inning, like those are the people you kind of want. Like, you want Alonso to lead off that inning with a runner on second.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need to get a base hit. You need to get a base hit and bring the runner up. Like,
Clutch
you
inning.
need to. You can't ground out, dude. That's what you did. And they brought in Stewart, which obviously nothing. And then even Taylor, who was a pinch runner the inning before, I think, but he came in. And he was ice cold off the bench. He had 2 batters off the bench, ice cold, you know, which again, I mean, I guess in my perspective, you'd expect, you know, Stewart could have been a total toss up, I guess, but you know, you get Taylor coming in the way he was hitting this season. I mean, you expect more out of him as well. And then 10th inning, you brought in Diekman, which, I mean, how much confidence do you have in him?
Right.
None. Gives up the hit. It's over. Bang. Gone.
Just like that.
Just like that. Drop the first 2. Sunday, talk about it.
Salvage
Nemo home run. Sure, I wouldn't even say salvage it, Brian.
Well, to win, I mean, what did I mean?
No, you won. You went out there, you won, dude.
No, but in all seriousness.
Yes, that is what they say. Yes, they say you salvage the series, dude. But it really is like at that point, like, do you even care that much? Wow, like Nemo home run, the insurance runs for the end. And at the end of the day, like Minaya, 5 innings still.
He gave you a solid 5. I mean, that's what he's good for, right? 3.11 ERA. That's not terrible.
It's not terrible. And he has been a bright spot in the rotation.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really say much, I guess, because rotation sucks. But it's like, again, like, I mean, you bring in Reed Foley, you bring in Garrett, who now, again, I mean, you want to go back to Saturday.
I mean, should he be the closer?
He is going to be. It's been announced already. Diaz taking a step back from the closer position.
That's tough.
Literally,
dude.
like, crying in the locker room
No
on Saturday.
way.
Yes.
Oh my
yes,
God.
dude.
It just never ends with the Mets.
It really is. Complete implosion, dude.
Wilmer Flores, how are you?
Oh, Garrett is going to be looked to for the closer position. And I mean,
how long is he going to be the closer, though? I mean, with a 0.72 ERA, I mean, he's going to get traded at the deadline, no?
Yeah.
If he keeps that up, right? I mean,
if he does keep that up, it would behoove the Mets to trade him. If he does continue to play this well, because I mean, he's not going to be playing this well in the future. I know it.
Yeah.
But I would imagine that the Mets would still trade him, and by that point, expect Diaz to somewhat return to his normal self.
But up to you. Right now, you would just start the fire sale, or would you wait till the deadline?
I mean, I guess it depends what the market is looking like. I mean, are other teams looking to trade up now? Like, I feel like a lot of teams wait to make moves to the deadline. Yeah. So I feel like it would be best that the Mets would be getting their best offers around that time, I feel. So
yeah. But maybe the Twins for Alonso.
Whoever.
Send him to the American League.
You can't keep him in the NL. That'd be crazy.
But then he just doesn't have to resign, and they can sign anywhere, and they can sign with the Phillies, but he won't because of Harper, but he can put him DH. What about Castellanos?
Right? Castellanos kind of sucking right now, but I don't think he's not going to the Phillies, dude. That's ridiculous.
Well, no, Zach Wheeler's not going to go to the Phillies, right?
No,
you would have said that though.
No, I don't know I don't know, because I feel like at the time too, Mets let him walk. Classic, you let him walk, and he's like, "Well, I'm gonna go sign with one of your rival," and they did, and it's Cy Young, and it's like, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah. What's next for
Cleveland?
Mets?
In Cleveland.
Oh yes. Cleveland's still playing well or struggling recently?
I wouldn't say struggling, but cooled off a little bit.
Oh, but still,
I mean, 30 and 17. I mean, come on, dude. Tyler McGill, which is interesting now that McGill's looking healthy, gets another start here. I haven't seen him in a while, but obviously was pitching well when he did. But I still think kind of a toss up here.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see what happens here. Last time pitched was, geez, dude, the 31st of what is that? March.
Yeah.
4 innings, 1 earned run, and a loss, of course. But then that was when he was injured, shoulder issues, struggling. Is he 100% healthy? Does he come back and pitch absolutely lights out against Cleveland? Possibly, but I think it's a total toss-up here. And Lively's been pitching well.
But I mean,
so
push comes to shove, because I know you like erring on the optimistic side of things. Do they take 2 out of 3 in Cleveland, or probably not? Or because they're not supposed to win, they're going to. But then they're gonna blow it next time they play like the White Sox or something.
I mean, how do you expect me to sit here and be like, you dropped 2 out of 3 against the fucking Marlins?
But that's how baseball works, though.
Yeah, no, that's how baseball works. That's how the Mets work, though. I mean, I don't know. It's so tough. Sure, dude. Let's take 2 out of 3. Yes, 2 out of 3 against Cleveland. The pressure's off.
Fantasy's going well. I mean, I don't want you to be so beat.
I got roped in fantasy this week. We lost 12 to 2.
Are you still second?
I'm still in first.
Oh, you're still in first.
I was like 17 games up. Now I'm only 3 games up, I think, from second. But it's just like for me, fantasy honestly has been abysmal because everyone's hurt still on my team.
But somehow you're still in first.
I can't believe it. Literally, like this past week was the first time where it was just like struggle bus, dude. I think like I don't even have pitchers. I got everyone to hurt, dude. Like it's so tough. And it's like, what did you drop these guys who are gonna be good when they come back?
Yeah, it's tough. The injury list.
So annoying, dude.
It's great. This is the best fantasy start I've ever had. First, second, third, and then the one league that I started out 1 and 4, as Michael did call Stanton going on a tear, by the way. I'm 4 and 4 now. So 1 this week. So it's been nice, honestly.
Yeah, that is
excited for the fantasy season. Ellie De La Cruz, Tony, has been a godsend.
Yeah, no, I mean and honestly, like looking at the first couple of weeks of the season with all his strikeouts and stuff, I was like, oh no, dude. Like,
but the talent is there.
Talent is there, dude.
I mean, probably will win an MVP at some point. The way the all around game is just tremendous.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. That's really what we have, but let's do an abbreviated full-on baseball frenzy.
All right, all you mother jumpers out there, let's freaking go.
Pen and paper.
Pen and paper here. Oh, it's right. You got it, dude. It's baseball frenzy. It's fucking Monday. It's a week. May 20th.
Cleveland.
Let's freaking go. Tony, start it off. I'm telling you right now, Tyler McGill, 7 innings, 1 earned run, okay? Nothing crazy, maybe 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, which is great for him. That 1 home run, maybe Jose Ramirez solo shot in the second, settles down, lights out until then. It's his first start back, riled, okay? The Mets need it here. Cleveland minus 125 on the money line, over under 8.5. It's not making it. Mets and the under, they win 5-2. Alonso dinger looking to be traded. Let's go. Marte, another dinger, the home run balls. McNeil, a 3-for-4 night over there, batting 6 in the lineup. The back end doing really well. Lively in trouble. Even the Mets decide winning this one. I'm going to say 5-1. Mets and the under, Brian.
I guess it's the day of unders.
Let's
I'm
go.
Going to take the Yankees in the under. So excited to be at this game, sitting in right field, 8 rows up from Juan Soto. Me and Matt are jacked. Amelia's before. How are you, Tony? But I would say a pitcher's duel to start. I can see a 2-2 game after 6. And then we get a big Juan Soto 2-run homer in the 7th. Clay Holmes, another save. And the Yankees defeat the Mariners here 4-2. So it's the Yankees and it's the under. And it's 8 straight victories.
Logan Gilbert, dude. All right, next pick here, number 2 on the day. Braves doubleheader. Interesting, dude. Braves can't hit is right, dude.
I was watching some of that baseball last night.
With the Padres, I don't know.
Padres have been hot.
I know. I don't know, dude. I don't know. We'll see. Chris Sale game 2. Who knows? I think I'm going to go with Michael Wacha, though, and the Kansas City Royals here.
Pitching like
Wacha,
the Mets.
Sucking right now, but I think get right, bounce back spot here against Detroit. Over-unders, your 8.5. Kansas City favored -120. This is the fourth time these two teams are playing each other. Second series of the year. Look at it so far. Royals have taken 2 out of 3 the first series. Looking to do that again here at home now. That's right. Give me like a Walker get right spot. 6 innings, 2 earned runs, maybe 5 Ks, 4 hits. Doesn't matter. But Reese Olson does get popped. I know his ERA is low, but is 0 for 4 on the season because Detroit sucks here. I mean, Salvatore Perez. I mean, can't believe him, honestly. Still doing well in the DH position for the Royals. Give me them winning this game. I say it hits the over. Royals win. I'll say 6-3. So Royals and your over. Next pick for you, Brian.
Next game, second game. I just mentioned it. I saw them put a beat down on Atlanta at Truist Park last night. And I think more of the same for the Padres in game 1 here. Dylan Cease, who's been a front runner for the National League Cy Young so far, 5-3, 2.45, excuse me. Ronaldo Lopez, who's been great, 2-1, 1.34. This Atlanta offense, though, struggling. Matt Olson, where are you? Acuna dropping a fly ball, lazily playing it with one hand. It's the Braves.
So stupid.
They still have a great record, but what are they doing? And I think the Padres get them in this one simply because Dylan Cease against a struggling offense feasts. And I think Dylan Cease, Tony, will pitch 7 scoreless innings, matching Luis Gil's 14 strikeouts. No runs. Braves tack on a couple late, but Padres win this game 6-2. So it's the Padres, and it is the under.
Absolutely love that, dude. The Braves, what are they doing?
No, right?
No, honestly, what are you doing? Speaking of what are you doing? Speaking of what are you doing, the Braves game 2 will win. Chris Sale pitching pretty well, 2.54 ERA here. Over 49 2/3 innings pitched, giving up only 4 dingers and only 8 walks. That's a 6-1 record because he has gotten the run support because the Braves did know what they were doing, just like they will today in game 2. I believe they will beat the Padres here. Over under 8.5 for game 2. Kind of crazy schedule between these two teams for this series. Postponement for Saturday, whatever, makeup game here, double header. I think they will win game 2. Give me Braves. Braves and just on the under, days of under, as Brian would say. Braves win this game 5-3, dude.
Hate to do it. Last game, final game, Tony. Framber Valdez will shut out the Angels in this game. The Astros have heated up. Winners of 8-10. Back in this division race, only 4 games out after an abysmal start. Valdez, 7 scoreless. Reed Detmers pulled after the second, Tony. I think you're going to see Yordan Alvarez, who's been struggling, hit 2 home runs in this one, and the Astros all over the Angels here, 9-4. So the Astros in the over, and just like that, that is your baseball frenzy.
Padres in the over you had?
Padres and the
Over.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I thought so.
But I had the under in the Yankees.
That's
and then
correct.
The over in the Astros.
Over in the Astros.
Yeah. So interesting stuff, of course. But like I said, so pumped to be at the game later. I'll share as much footage of that as I can. But let's go now, Tony, to the world of the National Hockey League.
Here he comes. McDavid shoots. Top shelf. He scores. Captain with the overtime winner. That's the nail pick. It's a world-class hit right here. Tomsky stepping. Rink Washington made the full split save.
Are you kidding me?
Turn. Side of the net. Between the legs and they score. Filthy. David Pastrnak. The silver trophy to the Golden Knights.
All right. So we had 2 series clinched back on Friday night, Tony, as the Bruins fall in Boston. So, they win game 1 and then they lose 4 out of 5 to lose this second round series to the Panthers. So the Panthers, second straight year, heading to the Eastern Conference Finals. The Bruins, a disappointing loss here, a game which they struck first with a Zaka goal. But the Panthers with 1 goal in both the second and the third period, in that by Lundell and Forsling in that goal in the third period, only a minute and a half left in regulation to give the Panthers the win here. And the matchup that we expected between the New York Rangers and the Florida Panthers, that will be an amazing series.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
so excited for that. Extended off days, TV programming, whatever, Tony. But game 1 Wednesday at Madison Square Garden. This is huge. We know the challenge that this represents. We had some competitive games with Florida earlier this season. And as the week goes on, of course, we're going to talk more about that series. But just for the Bruins here, I mean, a tough loss here, a game that they were in. A lot of veterans on this team. You have to kind of wonder, where do they go? I guess Montgomery's going to stay around, right? I haven't heard anything to the contrary.
Yeah. No, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he sticks around. I mean, I
low salary.
Yeah, I think that he's a good fit for the Bruins too. And I mean, I understand that, especially in hockey too, they do often look to move the coach. But at the end of the day, I think that he has the locker room. And I think that he's respected by the players, and you hear him during these post-game conferences. I mean, he's calling people out, he knows exactly what's wrong. And I mean, I think this game is indicative of that. It is on the players. I mean, I feel like they let the Panthers hang around. It's clear to me that, I mean, I understand too, you don't want to knock the Panthers' effort. Bobrovsky, phenomenal goaltender. A big reason why the Panthers are able to hang around and eventually win this game is because of him. But I mean, Bruins, first of all, one, have to figure out a way to get past Bobrovsky. Two, figure out a way to challenge him more often. I feel like the Bruins got a little tentative with their shot selection and was waiting for the perfect shots. And that was a big reason why the Panthers were able to hang around, because you weren't getting enough shots on net to even challenge Bobrovsky. I mean, he didn't even, again, you get good chances for sure, and he comes up big. But I mean, the way you get past these goaltenders, especially when they're hot, especially in the playoffs, is that you barrage them with shots. You're going to need dirty rebound goals, or at least get them to be nervous in net. Bobrovsky had all the confidence in the world. I mean, 0-for-2 in the power play, you need to score. Again, like, you're not going to get many chances from the Panthers because they are a disciplined team. So when that happens, you need to score in the power play. You mentioned it, veteran players in the playoffs. Like, that's your chance. That's your opportunity to put them on the ice and score when you're up a man. Face-off percentage. Again, to go back to my shot selection thing, you're winning 61.5% of your face-offs. You're dominating puck possession. You're just not getting the pucks on net. They should have. They blew it, dude. They blew it. Like, again, you get the first goal of the game. That should give you that confidence to get more pucks on net. To the opposite, and you give up 2 goals, respectively, in the second and third period. And I mean, that's the end right there, dude. Like, I think the Bruins were set up to win that game 7, but they just didn't execute well enough. And I think that's why you'll see Monty sticking around. I think that's why you'll see, a lot of the veterans still stick around with the Bruins. Maybe, I don't know. I can't see many of them leaving. I know, Rye talked about it too. We all talked about it throughout the season. Incredibly young team. Well, not a lot of expectations with some of the guys they lost the last year. So I think nonetheless, it's a build upon season for the Bruins. Yes, it sucks. You fall to the hands yet again, to the hands of the Florida Panthers here. But I think, I'm sure, just like a lot of these Knicks fans are talking about it today, you got to be happy with your season and the direction with the Bruins are going for the future. So,
yeah, next year, I think a big year for them. Otherwise, I think there'll be wholesale changes if you get more of the same, that inconsistency.
Yeah, definitely.
But we knew going into this series, the Panthers were the better team. And like I said, I'm excited to see game 1, Madison Square Garden on Wednesday. The other series that was clinched, the Stars. So to Tony's, I guess happiness. No, I don't know. I thought you always just kind of liked them because I was downplaying them this year.
Yeah.
Matt Duchene, is it, or Duchene?
It's Duchene, I believe. I used to say Duquesne a lot. I believe it is Duchene.
The game winner, double overtime.
Yeah.
So the Avalanche right there to try to send it into a game 7, but unable to take care of business here. Dallas moves on, and we'll get the winner of tonight's game 7 between the Canucks and the Oilers. Tony, what a performance by Dallas in this series.
Yeah, dude. I mean, the series, certainly. I mean, I think too, it's so interesting too in these game 6s too, because it really could go either way. But then, like, Dallas ends up winning. You're like, wow, they beat the Avs like 4-2 in the series. Like, that is close to as dominant as we've seen the Avs lose, I feel like, out on a season. And I mean, it's a shame too, because watching this game, first of all, the double overtime, 10 o'clock start. I got home Saturday night, and I still watched the end of this game. Like, it's crazy how late it was. But nonetheless, it's a shame because Georgiev, I think, played his best game of
and
the
then the
year,
offense
dude.
just isn't there.
Literally,
that's tough.
And it again, like, Jake Ottinger too for the Stars, tremendous goaltender. He played off his rockers for the whole series. But it is, like I said, it's tough to see that out of Georgiev. But I think a game that I think was dominated a lot by defense. You look at how many hits were in this game too, so physical. But it's one of those games too where, like, Colorado, a lot of chances that were thwarted by Ottinger. You got to figure out a way to get past him. You did in previous games. But I think that the Stars just really just outplayed you guys. At the end of the day, it's a shame. It really is a shame because I did think it was going to go 7. But for the Stars to come into your own house there, crazy that they beat them. Honestly,
I know.
I'm very surprised.
I know. I still, I guess I'm not learning here, but I think the winner of tonight's game will ultimately represent the Western Conference in the Stanley Cup final. But we'll have to see. And the reason why we have a game 7 is the Oilers taking care of business in Edmonton Saturday night.
Yeah, decisively.
5-1 over the Canucks. A game where they got goals from Holloway, Hyman, Bouchard, Nugent Hopkins, and Evander Kane in a really dominant performance. Hoglander, the only player to score for the Canucks here. And the Oilers get just what they need, just what they want. A game 7, obviously have to go on the road in Vancouver here. But nevertheless, going to be a great game. Definitely excited to see this one later on. And I think the whole key is here, Skinner had struggled. They had pulled him with Picard in previous game. He goes 14-15, obviously wasn't asked much. But that's the type of performance you're going to need from tonight in the game 7. So I think, the Stars have a line for Edmonton, and the whole thing here is, can they close it out tonight in Vancouver?
Yeah, pretty crazy, dude. I mean, look at this game. Edmonton.
McDavid 3 assists.
McDavid 3 assists. But Edmonton, I mean, the arena was absolutely rocking, dude. I think
Rogers Place, Tony.
Rogers
Edmonton,
Place,
Canada.
dude.
Alberta,
Canada, dude. No, really, I think that played a huge factor in the Oilers, kind of having, I guess, the just the overall energy coming into this game. Canucks, though, you said it, 15 shot attempts, dude.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? Is right.
Where's JT Miller?
And I think that is something that will not happen again in game 7 here. But I mean, if I'm looking at this game and I'm like, I mean, there's no worse possible game 6 performance you could have going into a game 7 back at home where you want to win. I mean, you handed Edmonton all of the momentum in the world for sure. And I know, like, it's a game 7. The Canucks are going to be good. They're not going to play like they did, on Saturday or whenever it was Saturday. They're just not. They're going to play way better. But again, like that type of, like, what if you just threw out there by having such an absolute shit show of a performance in Edmonton, scoring 1 goal in the first period and then being scoreless through the next 2, letting Skinner look like Patrick Waugh, Brian. I mean, it is getting me tight, dude, because it's like, you're way better than this. There's no reason you should have closed it out. But regardless here, and of course, you want to think back to game 2, Edmonton on the road won, I think in overtime, like 5-4 or 4-3 or something, where they clearly have won on the road already in Vancouver. I know it's game 7, different scenario. But I mean, you gotta get more offense out there. Because it is going to be a night where we've seen multiple times. Edmonton's going to be scoring 4. They're going to be scoring 5. You have to outscore them if you want to win here. And again, like, I mean, Skinner's not good. You can't. Like, Skinner is their weak point, and you're leaning into his weakness by not getting those shots on net. You got to figure out a way to get past the neutral zone. Edmonton does not have that great defense, dude. You got to figure it out, which they will. Okay.
So I guess we're going to find out what your thoughts exactly are, Tony, in an abbreviated full-on hockey frenzy.
That is freaking right, brother. Another game 7 here around the National Hockey League, and how exciting it will be on this beautiful Monday to start the week off. The Canucks we mentioned at home. Let's go. It's the Oilers. I was like, Vegas has Vancouver as the underdog at home. Plus 135. Brian cheesing at Vegas. Yeah.
Oh, placing a narrative.
Yes. Let's go, dude. Bet the mortgage, Josh B. It's plus money. Over under is 5.5, which is also like, what do they think? I don't know what Vegas is thinking on that one either. Bet the over, hammer the over, dude. I think you're going to see goals from everyone, honestly. I think it's going to be an absolute offensive explosion. Seeloff still has to play a great game for Vancouver to win here, the backup tender. People forget about that. But JT Miller, no doubt goal. Bozier, no doubt goal. Quinn Hughes, talk about 3 assists, Brian, for McDavid. 3 assists from Hughes, the defenseman in on most goals that the Vancouver Canucks will play. I think, which we also have seen David, out of the goal scorer role. I think we'll continue to see that, as I'm sure he'll try to get other guys around him. But Vancouver shuts him down. Seeloff shuts him down, only letting up 1 goal per period. As the Canucks move on to win to this game, I say 5-3, dude. Obviously 4-3 towards the end. The netter makes it 5-3. No hat tricks. All-around team effort here gets them to the Western Conference Finals. Brian, what do you think?
Last game, final game, best game, Tony. The Oilers are winning this game. It's not going to be easy, but they're going to pull it out late. And I think it's poetic, given the season that he's had and given their strengths. I think in overtime, Oilers win 4-3. McDavid, the assist to Zach Hyman to send the Edmonton Oilers to the Western Conference Final for the second time in 3 years. And just like that, the quickest frenzy of all time is over, Tony.
I think that might have been actually.
But what do you think about the scheduling here? Rangers off till Wednesday. Seems like they could have really played tonight, tomorrow. I know the TV partners, but what's your thoughts on game 1 not being till Wednesday?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's
they just want it to be even with the West.
The conference finals. It does make sense for the conference finals to be lined up.
Go stagger every other day.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess it does kind of make sense. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I would like to see the Rangers tonight play. Sure, dude.
Yeah. But, 8 o'clock start time, too. Body clock play into it at all? I mean, home game, 8 o'clock. They don't usually do that. No.
I know, hour later, dude. Yeah. Like, what are you doing? I mean, yeah, I'm sure the body clock, dude. I mean, it does. I'm sure it makes a little difference, but they're professionals out there. I'm not that worried, dude.
And obviously last series, it started out, really not a test at all. I know the games were close, but you're up 3-0. Obviously the Hurricanes made it interesting late. They win in 6. When you look at this Panthers series, you think this one is going the distance? I mean, we haven't seen that yet with the Rangers series, but is this the time we go to the distance, or you still think Rangers in 6? You don't want to have a heart attack.
That's so tough, dude. I mean, I think it's tough to call now. Without watching any games, I would say it does go the distance, dude.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a pesty. Yeah, it really does, dude. And it's going to be like there's definitely going to be a double overtime game again.
I'm probably going to want to turn off the game at a certain point, but they'll probably come back and win that night.
I know, dude. So, but I think, game 1 at the Garden is going to be very indicative. That's the tone,
Rangers disrespected underdogs. Second series in a row. First time ever for the President's Trophy, or no?
That's a great question. I'm not sure.
Second round Trophy. That's crazy being an underdog. But then they're going to do it again.
I know that is kind of, again, I don't know what Vegas is thinking with these lines. Over under for 5.5, even for the Canucks game tonight. Like, what are we thinking, dude?
But then they get those people who say, "Oh, well, they're doing that for a reason, so I'm going to take the Panthers," and the Panthers lose the series, and then we clean up, and then that's on them. So that's on them, their fault.
I do not see, though. I cannot imagine that the Rangers blow a 3-0 lead again.
Oh no! But
I don't think
they probably won't. I don't have a 3-1
think
lead.
They get there, but if they do have a 3-0 lead,
I think they close.
I think it's a sweep. Honestly, if they get there again, I think game 1's gonna be so indicative, especially against a Panthers team that plays so physical. It's like how is this series gonna go? I think you're gonna whoever sets the tone that first game is gonna end up winning the series.
And there is a chance it goes 5 or 6. I mean, obviously you have to take you have to hold home ice first 2. I could see a split in Sunrise,
right?
And then maybe then it would be 5 games because then you close it out at the Garden.
Yeah,
but
but
that's gonna be tough because the Panthers are a tough team. But
Panthers are a tough team, and they've come back before.
Right.
We've seen it last season. We know the story. President's Trophy. Knock them out again. No, especially if the Rangers, if they hold it down and win the first 2 games, like it's gonna be 4-1.
Yeah,
like that's gonna
Josh
be serious.
B. Let's fucking go Rangers. So obviously
He's riled.
He's excited.
Half of the baseball season.
But what do you think about this rest that they're? I mean, you think at the end of the day this ends up being good? They're fresh for this series. I mean, obviously slightly more rest than the Panthers. What, an extra 2 days?
Yeah, no, I think that is huge for the Rangers. And again, I mean, I think it was, a similar question after the Capitals series. With the Capitals, you have extra days off. Great team in the Hurricanes. What happens? Well, we saw what happened. Rangers didn't really miss a beat those first 3 games. So that's what I'm looking for, something like that. I mean, listen, I know they certainly have rest days, but people also forget too, it's more time to prepare. I mean, Laviolette is in the film room. They're on the ice. They're going through scenarios. They're going to figure out right now ways to get past Bobrovsky. Like they're going to have to.
Right.
Ways to deal with players like Verhaeghe, like Reinhart, like Kachuk, dude. I mean, this is going to be a really great series. And I think that the extra days off are certainly helping the Rangers, dude.
And I was just taking a look here. So they won 2 out of 3 in the regular season.
In the regular season,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was tight, those games. So yeah, this is going to be an outstanding series. I can't wait to watch on Wednesday. Tickets already over 500, Tony. You think any chance Dempsey's stakeout, they go down to 3.25, or that is pushing it?
I think 3.25 is like best case scenario, dude.
Yeah. But
ridiculous.
Yeah, we'll have to see, but obviously excited for that. And really, other than that, just to close out, a little sprinkle of NBA for all of our basketball fans out there. The Knicks chunked it, Tony. I mean, I know the Brunson injury, all the injuries they had overall, but they blow that 3-2 series lead and lose yesterday, Game 7 at the Garden. 130-109. Brunson, I believe, the third quarter, fracturing. I forgot his wrist or something. But I mean, what are your thoughts? Or hand? What are your thoughts here? I mean, obviously, overall was a successful season, but you felt like you should have won this series despite the injuries. So this one's got a sting for Knicks fans, no?
I mean, yeah,
to get blown out.
Get blown out like this too. And again, I was talking to Zach about it before the show too. I was on the road during this game for a good bulk of it. So I was listening to it on the radio, watching a little bit while I was grocery shopping, actually, at Stop and Shop on my phone. And it just seemed like the Knicks never had a command of this game, dude. Which is crazy to think about because you're in MSG. You think if anything, like the atmosphere would
Bill
propel
Murray ready to erupt.
Yeah, like would propel you to like a first quarter, like you're up 15 after the first quarter, and then maybe you can hold onto that lead for a while, even after, Brunson's, the injuries, whatever. But they never did that. In fact, what you saw the Pacers shoot 67% in the first quarter,
record,
which is
Game 7 record,
highest.
Tony.
Yeah, record in the NBA,
the whole
dude.
game, 67%.
The whole game?
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous, dude. To see that out of the Pacers. Again, I guess, it was a blowout. The Pacers had that perfect storm to win this game. But at the end of the day, too, it's like you look at it, and the Knicks were incredibly riddled with injuries, too. Yeah. Clearly, and I know Brunson, that hand, he's had that hand wrapped, I think, the whole playoffs, right? So, I feel like he kind of had like maybe a lingering issue to begin with. And we know he injured his ankle, right, a few games ago, too. That team, you were just trying to bandage up anyone you could to get out there. Even trying to put out Anunoby too, who only played for 5 minutes, like putting guys out there who probably shouldn't be playing because you're too injured, but hey, it's a Game 7, try it, whatever, it's do or die. And that's what it was. It was, you just really didn't have the crew at this point. You just did not have the right athletes to be able to go get past those injuries, dude. And I guess, I don't know. Again, I know I said like Game 7, Knicks are going to definitely. I expected this to be the reverse.
Yeah,
I thought the Knicks would be 131-109.
Me too.
But I just think maybe it was a pipe dream. The Knicks were clearly running on fumes to begin with,
but 2-0 lead, and Pooch called it, by the way, when they're up 2-0. I was sitting in the basement,
Really?
And I said, about the Knicks and stuff. He's like, I mean, they're probably not going to like win this series, and they're down 2-0.
Yeah,
told him I'd give him credit. Here it is.
There we go. It's tough, too, because again, you want to say, well, I mean, if the Knicks completely healthy, it's chalk. There's no doubter almost.
Yeah.
But they weren't. That's the way sports is. You have to get through injuries. Athletes get injured all the time, no matter who you are. It doesn't matter. But it is like, I mean, these extensive injuries, dude, it's tough. It is really tough, dude.
So they don't get the opportunity to face the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, but the Pacers do. So it'll be interesting to see if they can give them a run for their money. Josh B also saying, no quit New York. We bleed blue. And he says it stings, but you can't be mad. Look at what this team was, a shell. They gave us everything, and that's true.
They did give you everything, dude.
So it'll be interesting to see moving forward. What do they do? Randall, Hartenstein's a free agent, so a lot of decisions to be made. Somehow can they get Mikal Bridges in the mix to continue the Villanova theme? Speaking of themes, Michael Bucka's still on the Southern California theme, Tony, saying, I still want my nice beach house in Santa Monica with the beers and the woman. So I think Hinge, Michael, might be a good idea for you.
That's women, by the way, plural women, not woman.
I mean, there's apps for that.
Women, dude.
Right by the pier. If the Knicks had a healthy team throughout this series, different story. He's right. So a little food for thought there. And then we saw the Denver Nuggets, Tony, the defending champs, blowing a 15-point halftime lead, a 20-point lead overall. The Minnesota Timberwolves back in the Western Conference Finals, 98-90. A-Rod cheesing courtside after the game. So a very interesting Western Conference Finals, one that we wouldn't have predicted before the beginning of the year. Timberwolves versus the Mavs here. It's the battle of Shark Tank between Cuban and A-Rod. What a performance by the Timberwolves.
A-Rod sucks in that show, by the way, dude. But yeah, what a performance by the T-Wolves for sure. I mean, it's interesting, I mean, you look at the Nuggets. I mean, Murray and Jokic go off like 69 points between the two of them, dude.
Right.
But T-Wolves obviously have a great, I guess, overall team effort. I mean, you have, Karl-Anthony Towns with 23, McDaniels 23 as well. Edwards was only 16, but I don't know. They just played, I guess you could say, efficiently. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they didn't have, I guess they shot almost 40% from the field, 30% from three. McDaniels 3 for 4 from 3 points. I think he nailed his first 3-pointers too to get 12 points or 9 points, excuse me, right away. So again, I don't know, man. You think Denver just overlooked Spot? It's so odd.
Yeah, and then second half adjustments by Minnesota. I mean, we know how good Anthony Edwards and Karl-Anthony Towns are. Gobert. So
but still, I mean, I don't know. Murray and it's not like they were like ripping it in the first half and then just super quiet. Like they were still
14-point third quarter, though. You can't do that.
I know. Yeah, that's true. You can't do that as a team in the playoffs for sure. But it is, I mean, surprisingly, nonetheless, dude. I thought that the Nuggets would put this one away. And again, especially with how, you mentioned it, like 20-point lead here at one point. Crazy to see the Timberwolves. I do think, I want to say that like unknowingly, I mean, they must have been in the locker room halftime thinking that this game was over.
Yeah.
Like that, which is such a surprise. Cause I mean, for the Nuggets, a team that's been there before, like you think that they would not make that stupid mistake. That's a mistake that teams that have never been in the playoffs before would make,
And maybe, run out of gas, deep run in the playoffs last year. You never know.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
But I think, they'll be around for years to come, as will the Timberwolves, and they'll get an opportunity, like I said, against the Mavs. So
who is that series?
I was actually going to ask you, so jumping the gun there, Tony. First, though, the Eastern Conference starts on Tuesday. Pacers Celtics. Winner in games. Go, go, go.
Oh, no, you're asking me now. You just ignore my question. Mavericks easily.
No, the Pacers Celtics first, because that's Tuesday. Game 1
Celtics
Wednesday.
Easily.
How many games?
It's a sweep, honestly.
Sweep?
Yeah,
wow,
sweep
okay.
Conference Finals.
I'm going to say Celtics in 5. And then the other series, Mavericks, Timberwolves getting started Wednesday in Minnesota. Go, go, go.
Mavs in 5. That's right.
Really?
Both conference finals, quickies.
I think Mavs in 7. But that'll be crazy. And then that sets up the whole narrative. Kyrie returning to Boston, the finals, and then maybe the Mavericks win their first title since 2011. So we'll have to see.
That'd be sick, dude.
But a crazy time in sports. Another great show. Really appreciate all the interaction. Everybody who tuned in on a Monday here. And continues to comment, like, and subscribe. All of the archives in the YouTube page, Tony, Michael, Renee, and Jane Costume, the merch at downtimetv.com. We want everybody to enjoy the day, enjoy the games. Let's go Yankees.
Go Mets.
And we will see you mañana.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do. Thanks again.